So today we're looking at the brand new Toyota Corolla Cross. Toyota Corolla Cross, when I first heard about it, I thought it would be a beefed up version of the Toyota Corolla. When I first saw it, I was expecting to see a Toyota Corolla that's lifted up a little bit higher, that's got some flared wheel arches, and is basically just a take on a Corolla with some SUV type upgrades. But it wasn't that at all. It really was more like a small RAV4. Toyota Corolla Cross comes in three different versions. It comes in a GX, a GXL and an Atmos. The one that we have here today is the GXL. It also comes with a variety of different color palettes. We do cover quite a bit in these videos, so if you want to skip ahead, feel free to use the chapters below. In addition to the three different versions of the car, you can also have two different powertrain options and two different drivetrain or drive mode options. You either have a 2-liter petrol engine or a 2-liter petrol engine with Toyota's hybrid motor attached to it. You can also get it in a 2-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive. Not all of those options are compatible with each other, and sometimes if you pick the one, you can't have the other. Combined liters per 100 kilometers fuel consumption is 6 on the normal 2-liter petrol engine vehicles, 4.3 on the hybrid 4x2, and 4.4 on the hybrid 4x4. When I first heard Toyota Corolla Cross, I was definitely expecting something a little bit smaller than this. Size-wise, a lot bigger than what you'd expect initially from thinking Corolla. And really, when we parked this next to a RAV4, it really wasn't that much smaller. So if you're kind of considering a car in that type of size SUV, this should definitely be on your shopping list. So just looking at the front of the vehicle, first thing that you'll notice straight away is the Toyota blue that they kind of splash into the logo. That's reserved just for their hybrid range of vehicles like the one we have here today. The vehicle is packed with safety features, and even from the GX standard, you get all the smart cruise, cross traffic alerts, blind spot detections, autonomous braking, pedestrian and intersection detection technology. So they've really packed in all the safety features from the GX models as standard. The LED headlights that you get and the daytime running lights, nice and stylishly designed, again taking design cues more from RAV4. Front grille has got a carbon or rather gunmetal type finish to it if you come up closer and have a look. And they've also split out some colors into the front bumper here just to create a little bit of definition, so it's not so much black and white. There is a bit of gunmetal coming in through there. Not a lot of use of chrome, which I actually like. The front fog lights, the park sensors, a 4-sensor system, but well positioned to cover all the angles. A shout out to Corns Toyota for sponsoring us this vehicle for today. The front camera here, 360-degree view camera, which is standard from the GXL and the Atmos. So under the bonnet today, we do have the hybrid here. First thing that jumps out at me when I open the bonnet is that everything is sitting pretty low down, pretty close to the front axle. That does definitely help the handling of the vehicle. I have found it to drive very, very comfortably, and it's got very little body roll, and that's probably because they've moved a lot of this weight close into the front of the front axle. The bottles, they're easy to point out. They're all highlighted with these pink highlighted fluids. You've got the petrol engine on that side, the electric motor on that side, which supports the hybrid system, and then just your normal fuse boxes, air intakes, and everything else that you'd expect to find. Looking at the side of the vehicle, the first thing that jumps out is that its styling cues are more akin to RAV4. One of the key differences is this line here that runs all the way across and has the Corolla Cross logo embossed into it. You get the privacy glass from the GXL, and the Atmos gets it too. You've got proximity entry and keyless entry on the car. You've also got 360-degree view cameras that are mounted just underneath here for full parking visibility all the way around. Blind spot detection is standard, as well as the folding mirrors. You've also got the hybrid badge on the model that we have here today. The roof rails are standard from the GXL. At the back of the vehicle, the first thing that stands out is the shark fin, what Toyota calls a shark fin aerial. Sits nice and low, so you don't have to worry about it when taking it through the car washes. This back fin as well is not too pronounced and doesn't stick too far out. I kind of like that, because the ones that tend to hang out too far can collect a lot of dirt and make it a lot more difficult to clean them, whereas this one, if you put it through a standard car wash, should be able to get everywhere. The hybrid badge with the blue glow that seems to come out from the back of it just there, the Corolla Cross logo on this side, and the hybrid logo on that side. Looking at the styling, you do have rear LEDs from the Atmos onwards, and just more standard color lights in the GXL that we have here today. The rear camera is situated just underneath there. Styling, you've got this nice white brake here that just adds a little bit of color. Otherwise, this rear bumper just becomes too much black and becomes a little overbearing and a little bit boring. You've got your park sensors, 4 sensor system, and your reflectors. The car is also fitted with a reverse camera, rear cross traffic alert. Looking inside the rear tailgate of the vehicle, you do get a power tailgate from the Atmos. The GXL that we have here today and the GX come with a standard tailgate. You've got a retractable parcel shelf that is also removable. You've got a single cabin light that sits on that side. On the inside here, you've got this floor that comes up and reveals a space underneath for a spare wheel. The vehicle is not fitted with a spare wheel, but rather it's fitted with a recovery kit. Everything is really neat, really tidy, well finished. You can see all of these covers and plates are very well designed and fit into each other really neatly. One thing that stands out to me is really tidy looking underneath here. What I do like about the parcel shelf is that it is designed to flip up like some parcel shelves do, but it actually flips up all the way across and flattens out to below the rear head restraints, so that if you do forget to flip it back this way, it's not going to obstruct your vision through the back of the vehicle. The seats fold down on a 60-40 split. They don't create a completely flat loading area. There's still that little bit of a lip there. The first thing that jumps out at me at the back here, I do have this in my driving position. There is enough leg room. There's enough foot room underneath as well. There's nothing worse than, when manufacturers put these front seats so low down, you've got nowhere to put your feet underneath them. These chairs, they've got a bit of a sporty looking feel from the back here, as if they're kind of trying to hug the driver. They do seem a little bit imposing in the back, like they're kind of just creeping into my space. There's no indentation here for the knees, so there isn't that creation of more space really for the rear passengers. The headroom's pretty decent. My head's not touching the roof. There are grab handles over here. They have gone with a black roof lining, which most manufacturers sometimes put like a lighter roof lining that just creates a bit more of an airy and roomy space. I do find that there's a lot of black going on in here. Pretty much every trim and every panel finish inside the Corolla Cross is black, so that when you do climb into the car, it does give the cabin a slightly smaller feel. Now, if you move to the Atmos, you'd also get a center armrest, but we don't have that in the GX or the GXL. There are rear air vents, and just underneath the rear air vents are some USB-C charge points. 3-point seat belts all the way across, the 3 rear head restraints, and the ISOFIX points that you'd expect, as well as tethering points at the back. So for child safety and as a small family car, which is what this is meant to be, a lot of all the little bits and pieces that you'd want it to have. Looking at the styling, so the GXL that we have here today does have the leather accented seats. The GX comes with cloth seats and the Atmos comes with full leather, so this one's like a dual split. I actually quite like the dual split. It gives you a little bit of a light grey on the front seats, which is something just to break up the dark black a little bit. The finish on the sides here, the main thing that jumps out is the design of the dash, so the way it kind of just V-shapes out towards you. It's a little bit imposing, I guess is the right word when you first jump into it, but it is actually ergonomically well designed, because it kind of brings a lot of these controls to your left hand here and makes it really easy to reach and get onto a lot of these controls, so I like it. The glove box though is kind of hidden away at the bottom there, but again really easy to get to. Styling cues, I like this just a little bit of a silver finish that runs across the dash and also finishes off around the display here and the air vents, so it kind of brings the air vents into that line into the display, flows over the center console and just helps to break up that black a little bit. Corolla Cross has been embossed on the carpets, and the carpets are really well designed, really precision fitted. In fact, precision fit is 2 words that I would definitely use to describe a lot of the elements of this vehicle. It's very, very precisely put together, and you can just, that Toyota quality throughout all the finishes and throughout all the ways that the panels fit together. So just underneath here, you got a small little control panel for your automatic headlights, your 300-degree view camera, as well as the headlight adjustment switch that allows you to lower and lift the headlight positions. The leather accented steering wheel from the GXL onwards. All your controls are very cleverly positioned onto the steering wheel. There's no chrome anywhere on the steering wheel except for the Toyota badge that's situated just over there. So everything else is very much just little black buttons on black finishes with white writing. So it's simple, straightforward, easy to understand. So on this side you've got your trip computer and you've got your volume controls as well as voice commands. So these Toyotas are actually fitted with voice commands that can even control the electric windows. You can tell the car to open and close the windows. So it's a pretty advanced voice control system that comes standard from the GX. On this side you've got your Smart Cruise, and as we mentioned earlier, this is also standard from the GX. So you can select either normal cruise control, or you can or switch over to adaptive cruise control. I like that it's actually got both. It's got all the lane departure systems that you'd want it to have, as well as their following distance set button to allow you to maintain a longer or a shorter following distance. The GX gets an 8-inch touchscreen, and from the GXL and the Atmos you go to 10.5, like the one we have here today. You've got volume controls and a power button just underneath there for the display screen. Just underneath it, you've got all your aircon controls, and you've probably picked it up, and I've said it many times before, but I do like analog switches for aircon controls, because this is something that you're constantly adjusting while you're driving. And if that's on a touch screen, for me, it's actually a safety hazard, and it's really great that they've left all of these analog switches in there for the aircon system. It is dual zone, and so you can split it, and you can also sync it. USB charge point over there, just a little bit more silver, just to break up a lot of the black just over here, and a lip running along the bottom there. The two air vents are neatly stacked just underneath the display screen. So again, ergonomically, the way that this is shaped at this 45-degree angle, and the touch screen, ergonomically everything makes a lot of sense here. It's easy to get to, and I like that. You've got a non-slip surface and little storage facility just there in the GX and the GXL, and from the Atmos you go to wireless. In addition, from the GX you get wireless Apple CarPlay, but if you're an Android user, you've got to plug in regardless which version of the vehicle you purchase. Just above the gear lever, you've got your drive mode settings, your ESP button there, and your EV mode button just over there. Ergonomically, this center gear selector is again positioned nice in a central position just there. You've got your electric park brake, and you've also got your auto hold button situated right next to each other. You've got two cup holders, and you've got a nice center armrest that's wide enough for both passengers. Inside the center console, you've also got a 12-volt power point, a little storage compartment. And the first thing that comes up and that's worth noticing is that you do have a small digital screen right in the middle there, and more traditional kind of analog with backlit LED buttons on the left and the right. As soon as you power up the vehicle, the ready light comes on, the EV light comes on, letting us know that we're in EV mode. Unlike traditional cars, you've really just got the one center dial there, which is that one big circle, and as you start driving along, it kind of tells you if you're in eco mode. If you're really punching it, it goes into power mode, and it's kind of pulling a lot of power. And then when you're decelerating and the regenerative braking kicks in, you go into charge mode. Now, Toyota hybrid vehicles are not plug-in. So there's no way to charge the electric motor other than to use the internal combustion engine that's already fitted in the vehicle. Where the clever use and the fuel savings come from is the fact that that electric motor, coupled with a much bigger battery, is able to store energy through clever systems like the regenerative braking, like switching off the engine when you're not using it, like drawing power from the engine when it's kind of idling and you're not using all the power that it's supplying to accelerate. And so it just grabs all of that leftover surplus energy that would normally go to waste, and it pours it into the battery so that you can use it at a later stage through the electric motor. And that's in the nutshell the hybrid technology that Toyota has been perfecting for the last 25 years. Just pressing this button here, we can go to eco, we can go to normal, or we can go to power, and they all do precisely what they suggest. So eco would favor economy, where normal would give you the balance between the two, and power would favor performance. This little console here allows you to control your trip computer, and it gives you these different little menus that you can scroll through. Your settings, you can set your lane departure warnings, your blind spot detection system, forward collision warnings, and park systems can all be set through the little trip computer. So it's not a full digital display screen, it's pretty standard settings and just a few little trip computer settings that you can change using the control panel on the left hand side of your steering wheel. So the audio system can be switched on using this little analog power button just there. The 10.5-inch touchscreen has got a very Android feel to it. On the left-hand side here, you've got all of your menus. So at the moment we're in navigation. Navigation comes standard from the GXL and the Atmos. Over there, you can touch and go into the audio settings, the phone settings once you've paired a phone. Now, Corolla Cross is fitted with a connected modem, which actually allows the vehicle to communicate with a mobile app on your smartphone, and that all Corolla Crosses in Australia come with a 12-month free subscription to the connected app All right, as soon as we shift it into reverse, the 360-degree view camera comes up. On the right-hand side, it gives you a bird's eye view of the vehicle, and on the left-hand side, the bigger part of the screen lets you see what's going on behind you. You can activate the 360-degree view camera using the button on the dash. It then brings up this menu, which allows you to have views on the sides of the vehicle, both left and right simultaneously. You've got your audio volume controls that are situated just there and there, but you can also control your audio volume on the steering wheel. Foot on the brake, putting it in reverse. The first thing I noticed about driving the Toyota Corolla Cross is how quiet it is, how comfortable it is, and how smooth it is. Now, those are very generic words and they get used a lot, but really from doing a lot of these car focus walkthroughs and driving a lot of different cars, this Corolla Cross definitely stands out in terms of comfort and just road or ride handling in general. So the first thing you'll notice when it starts up is that it does run automatically between its hybrid engine and the normal internal combustion engine. It flips between the two whenever it needs to, and it's doing a lot of clever regenerative braking, and excess power is kind of just been stored into the battery as it goes along. One of my favorite features is this voice command. So by pressing this button over here, open driver's window.
Opening the driver's side window.
And there we go, it opened the window for me. So I really like that. It's pretty clever in what it can do. Close driver's window.
Closing the driver's side window.
You do have to get an understanding of what it can do and what it can't do. For example, it can't change the drive modes from eco to normal to power. So you'd think it would be able to do that because that's just an electronic button inside the car, but it can't do that. So certain things it can do, certain things it can't do, and unfortunately when it's something it can't do, it just says, I don't understand. So you've got to kind of guess your way through it. But it can control your aircon settings. For example, set aircon temperature to 23 degrees.
Setting the driver's seat temperature to 23 degrees.
And there you go, it's changed it from 21 to 23. And you can also tell it to just do all sorts of other little things to do with the air conditioning system and the windows, and it's pretty clever. I was impressed with the Corolla Cross. I know I mentioned it earlier. I was really just expecting for Toyota to take the normal Corolla and just beef it up a little bit and call it a Toyota Cross and just rebrand it and try to get away with that. And they really didn't. They've redesigned a completely new car from top to bottom. Yes, it's very similar to the RAV4, so you could probably say that they did take a lot of the design cues from that, which they did, and that's fair enough, but they still have put together a completely new car in the Corolla Cross, and they've tucked it in very neatly into that small SUV segment, and I'm really impressed with it, I have to say. It's got speed sign recognition. My main controller on my dash as I drive is really just telling me if the car's in charge mode, eco mode, or power mode. So it's really just one controller that runs over there. Keeping in mind there's no rev counters or anything on this hybrid. There's really just the car telling us in terms of its power systems, where is it sitting. So in low acceleration, it's sitting in eco mode. As we decelerate completely, it goes into charge mode. So straight away, it's always trying to make the most use of the excess energy and store it away into the battery. Toyota hybrid vehicles only have a unique position on the gear shifter, and this is this B that you'll see just over there. And you can actually just shift into B while you're driving, and you can feel it straight away. B mode is very similar to the traditional low range. So in a traditional or older car, you could go into a lower gear. By going into a lower gear, you would create more engine compression, and by creating more engine compression, you would naturally slow your car down. And those types of modes were used primarily for going down long downhills to preserve the brakes. So the B mode does a little bit more than just creating low traction. It actually also engages the regenerative brakes of the car, or the regenerative braking, and it uses that to slow down the vehicle, thereby preserving the brakes while simultaneously allowing you sort of that low range feeling on long steep downhill. So it's got two purposes. Very useful feature. So I've really enjoyed driving the Toyota Corolla Cross. It's definitely surprised me in what it ended up actually being. It's a lot more than what I initially thought it was going to be, and really impressed with the car. Thanks for watching. If there's anything else that you'd like us to cover, leave it in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.